Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're going to be doing my Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat playoff preview. So before we start today's video, how we do this, we'll spend the first 5 minutes talking about the Boston Celtics, the next 5 minutes about the Miami Heat, and then we'll spend the last couple of minutes talking about who's going to win, and I'll still talk about who's going to lose, but how the loser can still win this. Tell me before we start today's video, who do you think is going to win, and how many games, and why? Like and subscribe. Let's go right to it, guys. We're talking Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat in the first round. Like I said, we're going to start off with Boston. Why is Boston going to win this? All right, Boston, the reason why they're going to win this is they're the best team, arguably, in the NBA. Boston has been one of the most consistent teams all year. And yes, I know they have troubles in the fourth quarter. And this is a Miami Heat team that has had the Boston Celtics number for what seems like several years. But this is a different team. They won 64-18. They have the number one offensive rating, the third best defense, the number one net rating. They were the second best three-point shooting team in the league. They got a 27-point per game score in Tatum. All right, they got a freaking defensive maestro in Derek White. They got Jaylen Brown, who's another 20-point per game scorer. They got another 20-point game per scorer in Kristaps Porzingis. They got size now, something that they didn't have last year. Okay, not only do they have Kristaps Porzingis, they have themselves Al Horford. Not only do they have Al Horford, they have Nina Hieta. And if any of those guys get hurt, they still have Luke Cornett. So, and they have Xavier Tillman. So size is not a matter anymore, which people would have been like, okay, Bam Adebayo and Kevin Love. All right. They got the size advantage now. Now, next up, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. All right. No offense to the Heat, they don't have the shooters or the scorers available to them right now that the Celtics have. The Celtics have in their regular lineup 5 dudes scoring over double-digit points. Throw in Sam Hauser, Payton Pritchard, and Al Horford, who all average like 9 points or more. Right there, between all those dudes, you got between Al Horford, Payton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser, that's about 18 points a night. 27 points a night between those 3 dudes. Then between Holiday, White, Kristaps, that's 47 points between those 3 dudes. And then just between Mr. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, that is 50 points a night. So you add that all up, 50, 47, 27, all right? That's what? 120 points a game? It's absolutely ridiculous how this team can score, how lethal. This is like one of the best three-point shooting team in the league in terms of like attempts. Second most points scored a game at 120.6, and they only allow 109 per. So it's like fucking insane to think about how good of shooters or scores and efficient scores and just the defense. This is a team that they're great at protecting the rim. The one thing they're not great at is steals, okay? And you know, they aren't the best offensive rebounding team, and they attempt the 5th or 4th lowest amount of free throws. But everything else, every other metric, the Boston Celtics are the better team. They're deeper. They've got so much front court depth that literally someone could get hurt and it doesn't even hurt them. Okay? And then Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they're backed up by Sam Hauser, who's one of the best shooters in the league. Okay, and they still, if they need to, they still got Svi Mykhailiuk, who Svi this past year was a 39% three-point shooter on like three attempts a game. And then they have Derek White and Drew Holiday, 2 defensive guys who are dropping over double-digit points a game on really good efficiency. Then they have Payton Pritchard as their third guard. Also, by the way, this is just such a deep team. It's ridiculous. And I just look at them and I'm like, why not? Why not? Like, how can the Heat stop? Who can stop what team in the Eastern Conference can stop them? And that's the whole thing from top to bottom. From Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Derek White to Sam Hauser, Payton Pritchard, Al Horford off the bench with a little bit of Xavier Tillman and whoever else they need. It's just, how do you stop that? Kevin Love, Bam Adebayo. Like, I know tonight the Heat didn't have everybody, and they still had a great performance against the Bulls. But that's the thing. The Boston Celtics have the most dominant roster in all of the playoffs, if you look at it, and they're not getting credit. The fact that this is a 64-win team and we're acting like it is the weakest 64-win team is preposterous. I'm not even a Boston Celtics fan, and I will admit that this is a loaded roster with 4 dudes who are all-star. Drew Holiday was an all-star at one point. Kristaps Porzingis was an all-star at one point. 5 dudes. Al Horford was an all-star, so I know Al Horford's old, so we're not going to put him there, but still. It is absolutely ridiculous to see the type of players that they have on this team. So for me, I think the biggest thing is just looking at the composition of the roster. It's absolutely incredible. And for me, I'm just amazed by how deep of a team this is that's still getting discredited for absolutely no fucking reason. And for me, I don't know. I'm mind blown by it, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts, and let's get over to the Miami Heat. All right, guys, let's talk about the Miami Heat. And obviously, Miami is going to be the team that you can never count out. All right, I'm not even a Miami Heat fan. I mean, I do now live in Miami. I live in South Florida. I go to the University of Miami. I did my master's. I applied to do my PhD there and become a professor while I continue working at Hoopsite. But either way, that's not what we're talking about. And we can't use any stats because this is not the normal Miami Heat team. This is a completely different team. All we can use is the information we saw in the most recent playing game. And I don't even think that's like indicative to like what we're really seeing. But what it does tell us is freaking Jaime Jaquez is the freaking truth. Like we thought. Jaime Jaquez went out there, dropped 21, helped out Bam Adebayo, who only had 13 points. I mean, Tyler Hero dropped his 24. And Kevin Love, like I said in the preview, people forget Kevin Love was a freaking double-double machine for years. So that's the whole thing. When you look at this Miami Heat team, they're coached by one of the best coaches in the league, in Eric Spoelstra. This is a team that they're going to always play up, all right? They're always going to play up. They're always going to play up to their ability that people think. And to me, I mean, one night, Caleb Martin's going to give you 7. On another night, you're going to get 21 from Jaime Jaquez. Then Haywood Highsmith or Duncan Robinson or DeLon Wright or Thomas Bryant's going to freaking go off. And that's why you can't ever count them out. Because they played a lineup of Jaime Jaquez at point guard, Nikola Jovic, and Tyler Hero and Caleb Martin as they went 2 guards with Jaime Jaquez and Hero, and then they went with 3 wings and Jovic, Martin, and 2 wings, I guess in that case. And then they went with 1 big and Bam, which, I mean, solid lineup. And then that way, whenever Bam came off the floor, it was primarily Kevin Love, or sometimes they would do Kevin Love and Bam. And then Haywood Highsmith, Duncan Robinson, DeLon Wright came in for Jaquez, Jovic, and Hero. And then Thomas Bryant came in for Bam. And it was a solid lineup that they went out there and matched up well against Drummond and Vooch in terms of size, which was like a fear. Like the Bulls were going to be bigger than the Heat, but they ended up not being, which, I mean, worked out greatly for everybody involved. So that's the whole thing when you look at this situation. All right, they were able to play against a team that hypothetically was bigger than them. And this was, they went out there, they put up 33 threes. And I think that's one thing that people are going to realize is even if Jimmy Butler isn't there, even if Terry Rozier might actually be there. That's the other thing. You're going to have a 20-point scorer in Terry Rozier. People forget Terry Rozier's can score. Terry Rozier can put the ball on the deck and put points up. So they're going to hopefully at one point at least Terry Rozier back, which is going to improve their chances. This is going to be a team that's going to be putting up at least 33, 35 threes a night. And they're going to be shooting usually close to 40%. So that means they're going to be getting at least 30 points a night from the freaking 3-point shot. And that's a lot to swallow. And then not just that, this is a team that goes out there and collectively rebounds as a unit. I mean, 47 rebounds. The night before it felt like they had 45. I mean, they're going to still go out there and be able to get their rebounds. And I think that's something that you're going to have to look at. They're an efficient team. They scored, all right, tonight, they scored themselves 39 points from 3, and they scored 36 points in the paint. Let me see if I did that math correct. No, I did not. They scored 42 points from 3, and they did 36 in the point. So that means points in the paint. So that means they had themselves about 78 points between those two. And then they had free throws wise. They went to the free throw line 24 times at 22. That's another 22 points. They put that up to 94. That means only 18 of their points came from the mid-range, which means that's 18? That's 9 mid-range attempts all game. You're telling me in 48 minutes they only took 9 mid-range shots? That's great, efficient basketball. And that's the whole thing. They're going to beat you with analytics. They're going to beat you with efficient basketball, playing good, not missing the shots, collectively rebounding. They had 9 offensive rebounds. I talked about this. Rebounding is how you physically impose your will on your opposing team. You wear them down, you play defense, and you fucking do what needs to be done. And that's what's great. And they only had 11 fouls compared to the Bulls 19. So that's the whole thing. Can they be the better coached team? Can they be the more disciplined team? Can they physically impose their will, grind and grit, and take that down? And that's the whole thing. If they can play the Heat basketball, they can wear, tear, and beat up the Boston Celtics, and that's the scary part. All right, so who's going to win this? That's what we got to decide now. Guys, this is going 7 games. 6 games at least. I can't see it being anything less. This is going to be a heavyweight matchup to the very end. It's like that song from Rocky that oh my God, it's the East versus the West, a man against man. It's a fight to the end. Oh my God, a burning heart. Have you guys ever heard that song? This is what, go listen to Burning Heart and come back to me. This is what we should make a montage when this series is over to the track Burning Heart. It's by the same band that does, I believe, Eye of the Tiger, so Survivor. Either way. Now, I personally think when you look at this 6 or 7 game series, Miami, they're gonna try to outshoot they're gonna shoot a shit ton of 3-pointers, and they're gonna try to out rebound and just be more physical and beat down the Celtics like they did last year. And Terry Rozier hopefully is gonna come back at some point. I mean, if they get lucky, I doubt it, but if they get lucky, some point Jimmy Butler comes back, but I doubt it. So if the Heat were, and I think the Heat are going to be able to steal 1-2 games at least. But if the Heat are not at full strength, I would be a dumb man to bet against the Boston Celtics. As much as it pains me, I'm not even a Heat fan, but it pains me to bet against the Miami Heat. It pains me. Because when a team like this is backed up against the corner, nobody puts baby in a corner. And that's kind of what the Miami Heat are. And that's why it's so fucking scary when you see a team like that in a position like this, because they really could take it and run and make us all look like our foots were in our mouths. And but when you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Derek White, and all the other players above that, it's just hard to bet against that because that's just throwing money away. So I think the Boston Celtics win this in 6 or at least 6 games, probably a 7-game series, just because the Heat will make it tight. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you guys agree with me that, yeah, this is going to be a dogfight, but it's not going to be as close as people. I think it's going to be as close as people think, but not as close. But that's my thoughts. Like, comment, and subscribe.